guess it's time to call the meeting to order.
No. There he is.
Is there anybody on a public forum? I don't see anybody here, Brian.
No, I don't see anyone either.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go to approval of the minutes from our June 1st meeting. Does anyone have any comments or feedback on the minutes?
No.
I'll motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay.
Go ahead, Natalie.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes? What?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The minutes have been approved. Has everyone had a chance to review the annual grant final reports? Any comments, concerns, questions on those?
What are typical comments, concerns, and questions that are brought up in general?
Numbers not matching the applications and stuff like that. Everything looked pretty good this time around. I think the changes that are being proposed to the form today will help alleviate some of that confusion. Some of the numbers when they, so the income and expenses add up. I think the additional line items will. But no, everybody had good reports. Obviously, a lot of COVID stuff, so that we all noted, earlier in the year. So,
Well, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to.
Hang on. I do have a question.
Sorry, Steve.
Again, a newbie question, not a big one, but in the budget, 1A, second line, received from CODA, the number is always bigger than the number that sits in our budget. So where does that number come from? Was that the number originally requested in the original proposal? So
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and so we sort of didn't give anybody what they asked for, it looks like. Right.
Well, we don't have the funds to give everybody what they asked for, so we try to be as fair as we can, and
I see.
we all submit our proposals and even them out, but yeah, we'd need probably 2 times what we have at least.
That's fine. So that number that I look at isn't the number that they were given and then it was cut later. That was the actual value of the grant on the front page, and then the request was some number larger than that typically. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tom, thanks.
Okay.
No, I have no objection. I'm just figuring out what's going on.
No, that's fine. Any other comments? Well, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Now, just a question again. Are we approving all of them in one shot as a,
Yeah,
sort of a slate?
Unless there's an exception, one we needed to talk about separately, which it doesn't sound like there is.
Fair enough.
Approve the reports as submitted.
Was that a motion to approve?
Yes, I move to
Okay.
approve the reports as submitted.
Thank Dan. A second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Then the motion carries. Next up is approval of the spring special grant final reports from 2020. Any comments or questions, concerns on those?
We've discussed these a bit, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of continuing that money and so on. So I have nothing to add really.
Okay. So I will put that up for a motion to approve.
Also move.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Next up is approval of the 21-22 annual grant application and report forms.
I can
We do
provide
have,
just some brief comments here. So the annual grant application and forms, all three of the documents for annual grants are changing this year. The instructions, the primary change is just the dates. That changes every year. And so basically the dates align with what you've approved previously as part of the CODA calendar. So that's pretty straightforward. The bigger issue here is regarding the final report and the application, and specifically making sure that the budget pages match. So the categories all now match, and the way in which the totals work. I think before there were two different totals for revenues. There was funds and income, and then those added together to form revenues in the final report. Whereas the budget in the request in the grant application was much more straightforward. So we followed the formatting of the application form for the budget portion, which should make things easier in the future for grantees. And then elsewhere throughout those two documents, it's just simply changing the dates, advancing them a year, changing the due dates, and things of that nature, and making sure that we have consistent terminology. I think in one place we describe general adults, and then in another place we describe adults. So we're all just adults. The other aspect that is changed that I want to draw your attention to is in the annual grant final report. A number of years ago, I went through an effort to try to remove unnecessary dates from the forms so that we could use them year to year without having to track down where we need to change the dates. And the annual grant final report, it seems that there really isn't a reason to have a specific year listed in that final report. We'll know what it's titled when people fill it out, and we save it. And we'll keep it all together. But so we kind of genericized it, so we don't need to update that form every year with the dates. So really, the only documents that would need to change year to year are the instructions and then the application. But the final report, we can just leave that on there all the time for people to pull down whenever they'd like.
okay. Well, I'd like all the change in the past couple of years.
And I did have one question. So the on both forms. So technically, the total expenses plus the cash to reserve revenues, right? Those two lines should equal revenues.
Yeah. So if revenues exceed expenses, then that net cash to reserves should be a positive number, and it should indicate that they're taking in more revenue. They're going to put it into reserves. If expenses exceed revenues, the other way around, then they would indicate a negative number coming from reserves to balance the budget for the year.
The sum of those last two lines and B should equal the total revenues line.
Yes. All right. I just had to talk in order to.
And that was kind of my comment on the report forms. Some people had it as capital on the capital lines matching, and I knew that this would help straighten that up. That's why I didn't bring each one of those up again. So I like these changes.
Yeah. Any other comments or concerns, questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the new forms.
I'll move to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. We do have to also review the spring grant report and forms for 2021.
Right, so here, the special project grant application and final report have always been, or have for the last several years anyway, have been generic as to the year and the season. So there are no changes that are needed to those two forms. Those are up all the time, and anybody can pull them down whenever they'd like and start filling them in for whichever grant period they would like to fill them in for. The only document that needs to be approved here for changes really is the instructions, and that includes the dates that were approved in the calendar. And then it also, uniquely this year, we removed a reference to the hearing and the meetings that take place. The instructions indicated that those meetings would take place in City Hall. And so I just deleted the references to City Hall. I think it's pretty clear where and how to attend the meetings, and we'll make sure that the applicants know how that works too. But that was really the only other significant change.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Any other thoughts? Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the spring special grants.
So moved.
Grant forms.
Or second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The forms are approved. We have some upcoming dates that are important. Our next meeting will be Monday, September 14th. We're not meeting on the 7th due to Labor Day holiday, obviously, so we're pushing it back a week. August 12th, the spring special grant and annual grant applications will become available, I believe, online. The City Council's art workshop is rescheduled September 15th. Do you have any more details on that, Brian? Or
That will be a Zoom meeting, and
okay.
The commission, I don't believe, is being asked to have a formal role in that workshop, but it may be helpful for commission members or perhaps a designee or some such thing to attend and observe it online. And the council has asked to hold this workshop as a way to learn from artists and art organizations how the city can support art more comprehensively. The Public Art Commission, which works with the outdoor works of art, or outdoor and indoor works of art, they will also be asked to have representatives attend to just participate in the conversation, or at least observe it and see what's discussed, and perhaps come away with some ideas for how the commissions can advance what is discussed at the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Anything else for the good of the order?
I had a quick question for Brian. I got an email, I think it was over the weekend, from Story Theater Company saying that they were not doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and Frozen Jr. Have you gotten an official notice from them? They had special projects for $1,400, it looks like. So
Yes, I got that email just today.
okay.
And I responded back to them and indicated that it was too late for us to amend the agenda for tonight's CODA meeting, but that we could put it on the agenda for the September CODA meeting, and you can discuss how you'd like to proceed. Just food for thought for the next month. There are some different ways that might be handled. It could mean that you recommend some kind of an extension. It could mean that you take the money back and close out the contract and ask them to reapply. So we'll explore those different options at the next meeting and see what we can do.
Cool.
Anyone else? Anything else? Well, I want to thank everybody for making time, even though it wasn't a lot of time to hold the meeting today. I know it's difficult to do all this online and via Zoom, and you're probably doing a ton of that for work like I am. So I appreciate you making the effort. Hopefully in a couple months, we'll be able to get back together, social distance, but at least in the same room, so we can have a little better eye contact. But thank you, everyone. If there's nothing else, I will move to adjourn the meeting.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you in a month.
Anytime. Thank you.
Everyone.